Good afternoon, everyone. It's 12 o'clock. My name's Richard Holmby, and it's time for another episode of Tea with Richard. I had hoped to start today with a little bit of a joke because it is the 1st of April. However, April Fool's Day has been cancelled this year because there's so much possible fake news going around, we didn't really want to cancel the situation and cause extra confusion. So there's no April Fool's message today. Instead, we are going to have a slightly more serious episode and look at some of the main issues that people are facing and try to provide a few helpful hints. And today's one, we're going to look at food deliveries, because I know a lot of people who are isolating and are trying to get deliveries of food to their homes, but are really struggling to find places where they can book delivery slots, because Tesco, Sainsbury's and the major supermarkets quite often don't have home delivery slots available. So I thought I'd take a few minutes to have a talk about what else is available should you be looking for somewhere to get a home delivery. And here are a few suggestions, and I'm going to go through them one by one, of places where you might look to get a delivery. So the first one is volunteers. If your area has a local mutual aid group, or there are other organisations in your area who are willing to go out to a supermarket to queue up and get food for you, that's quite a quick and easy way of getting food from a supermarket if you're self-isolating. Please try to avoid using cash when you're doing any of these options. Online payments are an option, definitely. If somebody's volunteering to help them, most banks have a service where you can send payments via a mobile phone number or to another online bank via bank transfer, or you could also use PayPal to pay somebody directly. This is much safer and much easier than handing over cash or leaving a little envelope full of cash on your doorstep. So if possible, try to pay people using that. There are a lot of organisations who are doing this. If you're not sure where your local one is, if you do a search for Mutual Aid UK on the internet, you will be given a list. There is a list and a map out there showing where local mutual aid groups are. However, if you don't want to rely on other people, you want to go on your own, there are all sorts of other options that can get you the supplies you need. Firstly, local shops. Whereas the larger supermarkets may have run out of home delivery options, a lot of the more local shops, like corner shops, are also now doing deliveries, whether that's by using their casual staff like paper boys to take parcels round to people, or by hiring delivery drivers, much like takeaways do. Local shops are now doing a very, very good amount of deliveries. So if your local shop has a website or Facebook page or Twitter profile, have a look on there, and it might say, we are now doing deliveries. If you need to order for a phone delivery, just contact us on this number. Quite a lot of them at the moment don't have websites set up to order online, probably because they've just sort of rolled this out as fast as possible to help their local community. So quite often it is a case of ring the company up and say what you want, and they'll tell you how much it'll cost. However, they will deliver it to you, especially if you're in the extremely vulnerable category, if you're self-isolating, or if you work for a critical care service. So contact your local shops, that's greengrocers, butchers, news agents and corner shops, as these are very likely to now be able to, in a certain small capacity, be able to deliver. Sometimes also they're able to, if you allow them to park up outside, ring say you're there, they'll put your shopping in the boot of your car so there's no contact between people. That's another approach to getting a delivery that some local shops are doing. Additionally, if you're in a semi-rural area, a lot of the local farm shops are open. Some are doing deliveries, some are doing, as I say, drive up, open your boot and they'll pop the goods in there for you. So that's also farm shops that are also doing this kind of thing, and they have essentials like milk, eggs, butter, meat. Some are even doing boxes that you can just ready-made boxes of essentials that you can just purchase from them. If you have a milkman, the milkman may also be able to expand what they provide as opposed to just milk. Some are doing eggs, some are doing, again, these essential food boxes. If you don't have a milkman, you're probably going to struggle to get them because milkmen at the moment are in quite high demand and there are not enough milkmen to go around, really. So if you have a milkman, this is a good source. If you don't have a milkman, you're probably going to have to rely on the other mechanisms in this list. Now, one you might not think about as much is taxi companies. And a lot of taxi companies, especially in this area, are partnering with local distributors and wholesalers to be able to sell supplies boxes, so a fruit box, a meat box, an essentials box, and bring it to your door. They do charge for this, obviously. This isn't for people who are in desperate need. This is for people who have money and just can't get shopping for whatever reason. I'll talk about people in desperate need at the end. However, taxi companies are providing quite a good service, especially if you're in one of the areas which has these supply chains set up. So one thing to do is, again, look on social media or on the website of your local taxi companies and see if they are able to organise a delivery on your behalf. Amazon Pantry is another potential source. They have a couple of partners in the UK, one of which is Morrison's, one of which is the Whole Food Warehouse, and the amount of goods they have available varies, but they use a courier, for instance DPD or their own courier company, to ship food to you, which is not having pressure on the .com delivery drivers from the supermarkets. However, the stocks are variable and you might not be able to get what you want, but if they do have stock, they obviously can ship it to you if you buy it. So that's Amazon Pantry, which is another source that people might not think of. And finally, one which is very new and is just sort of coming around this week are wholesalers. Now, up here in the northeast, we have Bidvest, we have Hall Farm Foods, and we have Tyneside food sellers. Those three companies are now offering delivery to home addresses, mainly because their business delivery to pubs, clubs, schools, etc. isn't happening. So they have the stock that they ordered for those, but no one to sell it to. So wholesalers are doing click and collect services and also home deliveries. Now these are, remember, commercial sized packs. So you might get, rather than buying 500 grams of carrots, the smallest you might be able to buy is 2 kilograms. But if you've got a big family, or you're somebody who does large amounts of shopping in one go, for instance 2 or 3 weeks shopping in one go, it might be worth having a look at these wholesalers to see if they can deliver to you. Also, if you have a local community who are quite active and there are a number of people on the street who need food, perhaps it might be worth clubbing together and doing an order from these wholesalers, because some of them do have quite a high minimum order value. If you can do that, of course, please make sure that they are delivered to a person who is not self-isolating and does not obviously have coronavirus, and take basic personal hygiene into account when you're taking tins out and delivering them to people. Just leave them on the doorsteps. Don't get it within 2 meters of anyone you're delivering to. And if you do that as a community, that might be a way that a lot more people can access these essential supplies via delivery. So here are just a few of the options available that you might not have thought about and might find useful. I said I'd mention those people who are in desperate need. If you are in desperate need, contact food banks. They still exist. Some of them are a bit short on supplies, looking for donations, but contact your local food bank. If you're not sure where to turn to, either contact your local council or your community support line. in Durham, if you contact the County Durham Volunteer Support Line, which I've mentioned in previous episodes, they will be happy to point you in the right direction of somewhere where you might be able to get some supplies. So if you're in desperate need, your local council or your local volunteer support line is probably the best thing to do. So I hope that little bit of information has been useful to everybody, because it's now time to move on to our regular features. And we're going to start off with a short episode of Things to See and Do. Now, today and tomorrow are your last chance to try and see the International Space Station in this set of passes. The International Space Station is quite seasonal because of how its orbit changes throughout the year. So at certain times it's better and easier to see from the UK than others. And these are your last two chances in this set of passes. You can see it either tomorrow, wrong way, tomorrow at 9:36, today at 9:36 p.m. or tomorrow at 8:49 p.m. And that's it for now. So if you do really want to see the space station, hope for a clear night tonight. 9:36 p.m. will be a good time to see it. Now, I've got a special guest for the next little bit. And this person has quite a big following on social media. So I'd like you to say hello to George the Train Bear. This is George, and the reason George is on today is because last week we talked about people who were putting rainbows in their windows. And so that when children were outside on their exercise walks, they could see something, it made people smile. In fact, I saw one when I was walking the other day, and it was very cheery and made me smile a little bit. This week, people have started to put teddy bears, like George, hello George, yes, like you, in their windows. So George will be sitting in my window this week, so if anyone wants to wave and say hello to George, he'll be sitting in the window of this studio, and will be around all week, won't you, George? Yes, you will. So, this is George, and if you've got a little teddy bear and you want to put him in your window to bring a smile to people's faces, please go ahead and do it. You might not get many people seeing it, but a few will, and those who will, I'm sure, will have a nice smile. So, this is one of the things to do, and it's put a teddy bear in your window so that people can see it on their walks. Now, we've only got 2 minutes left of today's episode, which means it's time for reflection time. And today's reflection is based on something I saw on the TV channel Dave last night, which was a sponsored segment from the campaign against living miserably, which was a reminder to get in touch with your mates. Whether that's text message, whether it's tweeting, whether it's emailing, whether it's phone calling, or for those people who have less technology, writing a letter. Keep in contact with people. Send a letter or a message to somebody who can't be with you. And it's quite easy to do. Just write down. Some of you might not have written a letter in a very long time. Get a piece of paper, just write it down, pop it in the mailbox when you're on your exercise walk. Try and keep in contact with people, because there are a lot of people around who haven't had people to talk to and would appreciate being contacted by a friend, a family member. If you are sending a letter of this sort through the post, my suggestion would be to mark it in red pen on the envelope with non-urgent and send it second class. There's a lot of urgent priority mail being sent at the moment, and it will help the postal workers be able to sort it quicker, and also it'll stop people worrying when they get it, because if you're anything like me, when you get a letter and you're not sure what it is, you're not sure who it's from, you worry a little bit. So if you write on the envelope non-urgent, it'll prevent that little bit of worry, and it'll help the mail people know that it's not a priority mailing. So if you do send letters, just mark them non-urgent. But get in touch with somebody who can't be with you at the moment. Whether that's a member of your family, a friend, whoever it is, just get in touch with them, say hello, and let them know you're there. So that's today's reflection time. It's a little bit of a thing to do actually as well. Get in touch with someone. Because it's really nice to receive a letter or an email from somebody you maybe haven't spoken to in a long time and let them know how you are. So, we're bringing this episode to an end now. And a little bit of a note. Your Corner will be back on our Friday episode. And we have currently got 2 submissions. So if you have been doing any craft, any colouring in, any cooking, any activities, anything that you want to share from your time in isolation, please send them to me. My email address is t@mallard-days.com. My email address is mallard-days.com/t. So if you want to get in touch and send something for your corner for Friday's episode, or just you've got some ideas of things I could include in the show, let me know. Get in touch and we can put something together. If you're not subscribed already, there's the subscribed button. Just click it, you'll get a reminder when I come live. Or if you're watching on the website, if you click my head in this top corner, you will also get a message and be able to subscribe by that. So, once again, thank you very much for joining me. Have a nice couple of days. I look forward to seeing you on Friday. And remember, folks, once you've had your tea, remember to wash your hands and we will stop this virus. See you on Friday, everyone. Good evening.